Let me tell us this. There was a time I was with a friend in UI who happens to be a doctor who specializes in medical microbiology. He was carrying out a research on this pollution that we are talking about. Going from one place to the other, taking samples of effluents, waste from usage. That's to tell you how far pollutants can travel. Wastes that were released from UCH, it went as far as the other, neighboring environments to take samples. We microbiologists, we deal with things that we cannot see physically. To take samples, and it was discovered that some of the things that were discharged from UCH, we found them in very far areas. And if all these things get to the water body, it can pose a health risk. And in the same way, most of the companies that are operating in Nigeria today, if care is not taken, if there is nobody that is monitoring them, the trend will continue. Just like I said, I so much appreciate people that have spoken before me. Most of these companies, they just release their waste, not taking into consideration the effects on human. Now, let me tell you this. When I was working in the building, somebody is here also who happens to be one of the organizers. But together, I worked as a brewer, a shift manager. And we monitor from the raw materials to the finished products. And not that alone, all our waste, we make sure that we are properly treated before being released into the environment. Knowing fully well that if those things were not properly treated, it will have adverse effect on the people around that place. By tomorrow, we are going to open our eyes to some things. Even the community, they have work to do. Not that people will just come around you, establish the factory, and they will kill you gradually. We are going to recommend to the government officials what they need to do. People are the reason why they need to train people that they are knowledgeable in that area, so that once we have a check and balance, then people will not just release anything to the community. Now, back to the issue of health and safety. There must be a policy that will reduce this pollution of a thing to as low as reasonably practicable. We cannot eradicate it, but at least we must find a means of reducing it. Taking into consideration the life of the people living in that environment. And not that alone, there must be officers that will monitor what each company is releasing to the atmosphere or to the environment, either in form of solid, liquid, or gas. And by tomorrow also, we are going to establish the fact that there is need for the medical team also to always come up with the kind of presentation that people are bringing to the hospital. Are they as a result of pollution from social company? Then there must be research institutes. If we are able to establish all these things, then we will not have much problem on our heads. Because of our time, I will wrap up by telling us that I will encourage every one of us that are present here today to come around tomorrow. Because tomorrow is going to be an interactive session also. We will go deeper into the impacts of climate change on industry. Then the pollution that we are talking about, how we can minimize it with coming up with policies, then legislations, setting of research institutes, involving the medical people, getting reports from them. So please, I want to encourage every one of you. I don't want to take much of the time. We have been here since the morning. But I am just telling you this so that you know what you stand to gain when you come around tomorrow. Because people used to say, health is what? Health is wealth. If your environment is healthy, you also will be healthy. But if your environment is dirty, then you'll be visiting hospital from time to time. And who knows when one will contact a terminal disease. My prayer is that we will not die untimely. I can't hear you. But we need to be conscious of what we put into the environment, what the factories, the companies are putting into the environment, and the moment we discover it of so much, we are going to tell you tomorrow what we need to do. We need to take care of what to do. So, on this note, I will drop the microphone. Tomorrow, please let us be around to be able to talk more tomorrow. Thank you.
Next, I talked about the industrial revolution, which was characterized by a change in use of energy forms. So, the whole carbon emission, industrialization, climate change is all caused by what? Energy. So, it has gotten to a point where we need to talk about what alternative forms of energy, because we need energy. So, when we look at alternative forms of energy, I'll try to be fast as possible. We look at solar, wind, geothermal, etc. sources of energy that don't cause any emissions. So that's what we do at Green Energy Spectrum. We are primarily a solar company, and apart from the climate change aspect, we also look at subsidy availability. So there's also an economic case for it. So I wouldn't take any much of the time. I hope we'll have time to pull up on this tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
My name is John Edom. I'm an artist, a sculptor by profession, and an upcycler by passion. And what I do is to give waste a second chance. Now, as far as life in general is concerned, for you to say that you are living means that you are solving a problem. There are a lot of problems in life, and the only way that you can become relevant in society is to solve a problem. And one of the problems I'm solving is the problem of climate change. Through the process of upcycling, by converting waste materials into eco-friendly interior decors, just like one of the items that I'm holding here in my hand. So this is a flower vase. Now, a lot of people don't believe that there is the existence of climate change because of how I've interacted with people along my line of activities and also on the field. But I would like to tell you that upcycling is a very, very important practice. It's also an unconventional way of indigenous and local production, because this is made out of waste materials. Now, if you see what's on my head, you see that there are little wraps, these biscuit wraps, and these waste materials that we consume every day. Now, I consider myself to be among the 1% of people that are doing what 99% of people are not doing. And what that is to make a difference. Now, rather than throwing these items away, rather than increasing the landfill, rather than burning this waste, I have found a way to convert them into eco-friendly arts that can be sustainable, that can be integrated into the society, that can be accepted as interior decorations like flower vases, lampshades, chairs, key holders. There are a lot of products that are made out of solid waste materials like papers, tires, pipes, plastics, CD plates, you name them. Now these are things that you throw away, but I have found a way to convert them, so that they become economically viable, and also relevant to the society. So I would urge everyone out there who has not heard the word upcycling and who knows about the problem of climate change to imbibe the practice of upcycling. Stop throwing dirt away indiscriminately. Okay. Upcycling inspires creativity. See how you can convert these waste materials into beauty. Throw these dustbins in the right, throw this waste in the proper places, in the right bin, not on the ground. Okay, let's begin to practice a good waste dumping culture. If you cannot create, then practice a good waste dumping culture, and I think the world will become a better place. Our planet will be better. Thank you very much.
What you can do to mitigate climate change in your domain or in Nigeria are numerous, depending on the scale at which you are looking at it. But all the same, borrowing from the international theme of thinking globally and acting locally. For example, climate change manifests in different forms. So which one hits you most? I haven't identified that. Then the next question is, what would you expect from your design paradigm shift? Even the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change does not provide a one for all fit purpose solution. Depending what you think you can initiate. Now, looking at the example of IMO, you know too well that for sure, the problem of very unwanted soil erosion occurs now and then, and of course, that alone, translates to one, land productivity and economic investment in the state. So implying that, under NGO platform, you make a common front, come up with a common front and present it to the government, by way of a framework. But all the same, there are national frameworks, that are in existence and prepared by the national government. These frameworks, for example, like the long-term low emissions development strategy, which was just recent, and of course, you have the pathways. Then the national development strategies. Here in this document, a lot of strategies are being suggested. So, based on your intent, then you tap into it and see the one which you can execute. That's one. Then two, first you must also identify the causes of climate change itself. But because this is an NGO, I wouldn't expect you to go into bigger programs and projects. But from community level, one, you should know that Nigeria is a car-loving country under transportation, and of course, most of the emissions come from, cars, local cars under local transport. So by so doing, you can influence. I repeat, you can influence the government policy to invoke a law that will monitor the carbon emission standards of most local vehicles in the state. By so doing, you are contributing, to a climate solution. Then too, you can also engage, experts, to do some level of atmospheric mapping, right? That is cloud mapping within industry clustered zones. So by the time that is done, then you now have a true picture of concentrations, and thereby you can now plan for the solution and seek for support from government, international community, and where have you. I am Engineer Musa Adamu Ogun.
From which?
I am the group country representative of Lagin Techno Corporation.